For millions of years, the Megalodon ruled the oceans as the ultimate apex predator. And then, around 3.6 million years ago, it vanished completely. What could possibly kill the most dominant predator the ocean has ever known? The answer might surprise you, but first, a brief introduction to this giant. We have never found a complete Megalodon skeleton. Shark skeleton is made of cartilage, which doesn't fossilize well. Scientists have reconstructed the Meg based on their massive teeth and vertebrae. Conservative estimates put Megalodons at 50 to 60 feet in length, though some specimens may have reached up to 70 feet. That's 3 times the length of today's great white sharks. The word Megalodon literally means big tooth, and Megalodon teeth are legendary among fossil collectors. Each tooth could measure over 7 inches long, designed like serrated daggers perfect for slicing through flesh and bone. With a bite force estimated at 40,000 pounds per square inch, roughly 10 times stronger than a great white, the Megalodon could bite through almost anything in the ocean. Now, in order to understand what led to their demise, we have to first understand their habitat and prey, basically where they lived and what they ate. Fossil evidence shows they inhabited warm, shallow coastal waters across the globe, from North and South America to Europe, Africa, and Australia. These prehistoric sharks preferred tropical and subtropical seas where food was abundant and the water temperature was comfortable. Unlike modern great whites that roam the open ocean, Megalodons likely stayed closer to coastlines and continental shelves. These areas were rich hunting grounds, teeming with their preferred prey. The warm, shallow waters also served as nurseries where young Megalodons could grow relatively protected from other large predators. Now let's talk about their menu. What does a 50-foot shark eat? Well, almost anything it wants. We have found distinctive Megalodon bite marks on ancient whale bones, revealing their hunting strategies. These apex predators specifically targeted the nutrient-rich organs and flippers of the whales. By disabling their prey's ability to swim, Megalodons could take down even large baleen whales. Scientists have found whale vertebrae with massive chunks bitten out, clear evidence of Megalodon attacks. Besides whales, Megalodons feasted on dolphins, seal, sea turtles, and large fish. For millions of years, nothing in the ocean could challenge the Megalodon's dominance. They sat comfortably at the very top of the food chain with no natural predators to fear. So what happened? How did such a successful apex predator disappear? The extinction of the Megalodon wasn't caused by a single catastrophic event, but rather a perfect storm of environmental changes that occurred during the late Pliocene epoch, roughly 5 to 2.6 million years ago. Global climate change dramatically altered ocean temperatures. The Earth was cooling, entering a series of ice ages. As polar ice caps expanded, ocean temperatures dropped significantly, especially in the coastal waters that Megalodons preferred. These cold-blooded giants needed warm waters to maintain their metabolism and support their enormous size. As their preferred habitats shrank, Megalodons found themselves with less and less suitable territory. Sea levels dropped during these glacial periods. The shallow coastal shelves where Megalodons hunted began to disappear, forcing them into deeper, colder waters or more limited coastal areas. Their prime hunting grounds were literally vanishing beneath them. Another critical factor was the changing distribution and availability of their primary food source, whales. As the oceans cooled, many whale species began migrating to polar regions where they could feed on the abundant krill and plankton in cold waters. These nutrient-rich polar areas became the new whale feeding grounds, but they were too cold for the Megalodon to follow. Suddenly, the Megalodon's all-you-can-eat buffet was moving out of reach. But perhaps the killer blow came quite from an unexpected source. Around the same time Megalodons were struggling, another shark was on the rise. Much smaller, but insanely more adaptive. The great white shark. Now, before you imagine a David versus Goliath scenario, let's be very clear. A great white shark can never take on a healthy adult Megalodon. The size difference is simply too extreme. However, great whites didn't need to fight Megalodons directly. They just needed to outcompete them. Great white sharks were more energy efficient, requiring far less food to survive. They could tolerate a wider range of water temperatures, meaning they could follow whales into cooler waters. They were faster and more agile, making them better suited for hunting in changing ocean conditions. Most importantly, great whites likely competed with young megalodons for food. Juvenile megalodons, which were much smaller than adults, occupied a similar ecological niche to great whites. As food became scarce, great whites may have outcompeted young megalodons, preventing them from reaching adulthood. It's also possible that great whites directly preyed on megalodon pups in nursery areas, further reducing their numbers. While speculative, this wouldn't be unusual behavior. Modern great whites are known to cannibalize smaller sharks. The extinction of the megalodon was essentially death by 1,000 cuts. Climate change, habitat loss, disappearing prey, and competition from more adaptable species all work together to push this ancient giant to the brink. Megalodons needed enormous amounts of food to survive, an estimated 2,500 pounds of meat every day. As their prey became scarcer and harder to find, maintaining that caloric intake became impossible. Population numbers likely declined slowly over hundreds of thousands of years. Fewer breeding individuals meant less genetic diversity and smaller, more fragmented populations. Eventually, the megalodon crossed a threshold from which recovery was impossible. Around 3.6 million years ago, the last megalodon had died, ending a reign that had lasted for over 20 million years. The story of the megalodon's extinction is a powerful reminder that even the mightiest apex predators are vulnerable to environmental change. Being big and powerful isn't always an advantage. Sometimes being adaptable matters more. The ocean's greatest predator fell not to a superior opponent, but to that one enemy nobody can defeat, a changing world. And that's what killed the Meg.